Hello friends, welcome to Raj Malhotra IAS. So guys, we have to just make sure that we are very much connected and live. Okay, so this is the afternoon session of the Hindu analysis, and we are going to start this session in another 1 minute. So let's start this session. So farmers get invite for talks again. So these developments are going on. Still there is no conclusive thing which is happening on this particular field. Okay, on this particular news, 4 states began dry run for rollout of vaccine. Now dry run has been going on. Okay, we have to still wait and watch what exactly will be the outcome. Okay, इसको देखना पड़ेगा हमें कि इसका exact outcome क्या होगा when the process is going to start. Now trial runs are going on in multiple states. PM flags of India's first driverless train. Okay, this is really good, and metro service will expand to 25 cities by 2025. This is what our prime minister is targeting, 25 cities by 2025. Okay, so this is really good number. So other than that, there is nothing much important for us. Let's move directly to our editorial section. So dealing with India's two front challenge, we will be covering up this particular editorial. So this is related to your international relations, that there is always a threat of two front wars. Okay, so there is always a threat of two front wars. Two front wars means that India, China and Pakistan. Okay, so this is covered under your GS paper 2. Okay, international relations. From that particular paper, this particular news is important for you. So let's move ahead. Okay, on this particular page we have reforms with the future and farming needs in mind. So we will be covering up this particular editorial as well. इसको भी हम लोग cover करेंगे. We will look into this, what exactly is there for us. So granting bail is the rule. We will look into this also. This will also be covered in detail. So other than that, there is nothing much important for us. Subhash, good afternoon. Okay, so on this particular page, there is nothing much important for us. Okay, here also political news are there, so not relevant for our exam point of view. So here also no news is there for exam point of view. Okay, so let's move directly to international page. China defends the progress of Pak corridor. So this is what is happening right now. So there are apprehensions that this is part of China's debt diplomacy. Okay, and Pakistan will be under the Chinese debt. Now Pakistan under the Chinese debt, it will be not a good situation for India, because China might pressurize Pakistan to work against India. Okay, so no doubt Pakistan is our enemy, but this you have to understand, Pakistan might act as a satellite state for China for action against India, and this is not good for us. Okay, so this is the problem. Under the debt pressure, Pakistan might come under the influence of China, and they might collaboratively make some front against India, and there are apprehensions among the security community regarding this particular matter. Okay, so ये चीज़ जो है इन्होंने बताई थी. So on this particular page, maintaining inflation target at 4% is appropriate, says the RBI paper. See, you have to understand this thing. Inflation is required. Okay, inflation is required to facilitate the growth, but if inflation is out of control, then it will be a burden on whom? Burden on poor. Okay, they will pay the maximum price. Poor will not be able to afford the basic necessities like food items. Okay, so this is the problem. So we have to balance out the inflation needs to be balanced out. This is what RBI is saying. RBI is saying that okay, 4% is fine, you have to maintain inflation at 4% so that the growth can be facilitated. Other than that, your poor should also be protected. Okay, so this is the target, 4%. So let's move ahead. Okay, there is nothing much for us on this particular page. Okay, supply chain shift from China may benefit India. So now this survey is there, but you have to understand this thing. We have to compete with Vietnam. Okay, we have to compete with Bangladesh. These are also the countries which provide the cheap labor. Okay, India is not the only one. These countries also provide the cheap labor. So we have to compete with them. You need to reform your economy. There are some internal reforms which are required. Some laws need to be changed, some things to be facilitated. Our focus should be on infrastructure. All those things should be addressed. Okay, so those things should be covered in your mind. The supply chain is shifting from China, but you have to understand there is a competition also in international market, and we have to compete with them. You have to improve your power, land, road infrastructure to have a facilitation of these company in your country to attract the FDI, okay, foreign direct investment. So these things are covered. Okay, so let's move to the detailed discussion part now. Let's see what exactly is there for us. Gayatri, good afternoon. So let's start this center trying to expand the market for farmers. Now Prime Minister has flagged off 100th Kisan Rail. Okay, so this has been flagged off from Sangola in Solapur district, Maharashtra to Shalimar in West Bengal. Okay, it has been flagged off. He said that center's policy that aimed at providing access to newer and bigger markets for smaller farmers. This is the idea. Okay, smaller farmers, they need access to bigger markets, and these trains and these steps are going to facilitate that. This is what Indian Prime Minister is pointing out. ये चीज इन्होंने point out की है. So further he has said that okay, COVID is not a challenge. Under the impact of COVID also, the network of Kisan Rail has expanded. Okay, Kisan Rail को further expand किया है, and it is going to be beneficial for countries 80% small and marginal farmers. So majority of the farmers are 80%. ओके, तो उनके लिए जो है एक बहुत ही अच्छी चीज़ है ये. अदर देन दैट, रिगार्डिंग मॉडर्नाइजिंग एग्रीकल्चर हैड ऑलरेडी बीन मेड इन बजट विच हैज एनविसिज किसान रेल एंड किसान उड़ान स्कीम. ओके, किसान उड़ान स्कीम एंड किसान रेल, दीज वर द इनिशिएटिव विच वर अनाउंस्ड इन इंडियन बजट ऑल्सो. ओके, सो गुरप्रीत, गुड आफ्टरनून. So let's move ahead and start our editorial section now. A politically guided doctrine and comprehensive military capability are needed to deal with China-Pakistan threat. Now this is a major threat. Okay, this is a major threat, and you need to have an idea that our Air Force, okay, so our sanctioned strength is 42 squadrons, but present we are operating at 32 squadron. Okay, and there is a speculation that in another 3 to 4 years we will be left with only 28 squadron. So this is the major threat that China and Pakistan are jointly going to make things difficult for India. Okay, so any mention of two front war evoked two contrasting opinions. India's military was firmly of view that collusive China-Pakistan military threat was a real possibility. Okay, now our military, they are saying that they are realist. They are saying that both China and Pakistan can jointly act as a threat for us. Okay, but our political class, okay, they are not serious about it. Political class, they are saying that okay, two front war, it is being overhyped, okay, by military to press for additional resources and funds. Now political class is still not taking up this matter seriously, and this is a warning signal for us. Okay, we were not ready for this Galwan, and that has happened. Now they are these experts, okay, the experts are saying that two front war is a possibility and we have to prepare for that. Now this is again a threat for us. Okay, ये भी एक तरीके से हमारे लिए एक थ्रेट हो सकता है, तो हमें उसके लिए प्रिपेयर करना होगा. So historically China has never intervened militarily in any of the India-Pakistan conflict, but if something has not happened historically, so can we be assured that that is not going to happen in future also? This is the major thing. Okay, you have to be realist, so that the economic, diplomatic and political ties between India and China rule out any armed conflict between the two countries. Now this is also, people say that okay, China is dependent on India for economy, they have a trade surplus, they enjoy the trade surplus, so because they enjoy trade surplus, they will not think of having bad relations with India. But right now they are very much active on our borders. Okay, this is the real thing. So Indian strategic thinking was overwhelmingly focused on Pakistan and the security consideration emanating from there. Okay, we never took China seriously and we focused our militarily and strategic thinking towards the Pakistan. Okay, so intrusion changed the things. Now this is the reality Indian military is thinking, while China was a more powerful and therefore strategic, the chance for conventional conflict breakout was low. Okay, this was our thinking, that there are less chances of war. The reverse was true of Pakistan, with a greater likelihood of conflict along the western border, possibly triggered by the major terror attack emanating from Pakistan. So now few experts were saying that just because Pakistan will continue the terrorism and we might attack, we might counter attack, okay, and this might develop into full-fledged war. But now situation has changed. Okay, situation जो है एक तरीके से बहुत ही अलग हो गई है. How the situation has changed? The Chinese intrusion in Ladakh in May this year, the violence that resulted from clashes between Indian Army and the PLA, People's Liberation Army. This has majorly changed the whole situation. Okay, so the deadlock in negotiation have now made the Chinese military threat more apparent and real. As I told you, we have to act as a realist. Okay, we have to act as a realist. Nehru acted as a idealist. Okay, Nehru acted as a idealist, and we paid the price in 1962. So we never want to repeat the same thing again. We have to be realist, and we have to be prepared for all this, the trouble that is coming. Okay, so two front situation, definitely it is going to be worrisome. It is not going to be easy. Okay, China's military challenge will occupy greater attention of India's military planners in the months and years to come. We will now be focused on more on China. Okay, we have to prepare for them, we have to match them. Okay, situation along LOC with Pakistan has been steadily deteriorating. Between 2017 and 19, there has been fourfold increase in ceasefire violation. Things are not good at LOC also, with Pakistan also situation is not good. Okay, some media reports had indicated that Pakistan had moved 20,000 troops into Gilgit-Baltistan, matching the Chinese deployment in eastern Ladakh. And now these developments show that there is some angle of collusion. Okay, ये कुछ ना कुछ collusion का component हमें समझ में आता है. So China Pakistan military link, the Sino Pakistan relationship is nothing new. We are already aware about it, that they are good friends. Okay, but it has far serious implications today than perhaps before. China has always looked at Pakistan as a counter to India's influence in South Asia. Now China, they want to balance out India, and they want Pakistan as their satellite state to pursue their national interest. Okay, so through Pakistan, China wants to damage India. This is the reality. There is no confusion over it. The ties between the two countries have strengthened, and there is a great deal of alignment in their strategic thinking. Okay, so China-Pakistan economic corridor, China-Pak economic corridor, this is already there in consideration. Okay, so China accounting for 73% of total arms import of Pakistan between 2015 to 2019. So this is what Chinese are doing. Okay, both the economies are aligned and they are dependent on each other. दोनों के दोनों जो है एक दूसरे के साथ aligned है और एक दूसरे पे डिपेंडेंट है. ओके, सो इन फ्यूचर देयर अलाइनमेंट, देयर फ्रेंडशिप इज गोइंग टू इंक्रीज एंड improve, and further it is going to be troublesome for us. Okay, so Shaheen 9 Pakistan China joint exercise between Pak Air Force and Chinese Air Force. The Pakistan Chief of Army Staff said the joint exercise will improve the combat capability of both Air Force substantially. Now this you have to understand, they are also working on their interoperability. Okay, like we are working with Russians and we are working with US for the interoperability, they are also working on their interoperability. Okay, so it will be prudent for India to consider this two front wars as a real thing, and we have to prepare for this. Okay, Indian military needs to be realistically analyze how this threat could manifest itself and the type of capabilities that should be built up to counter it. Okay, now this is the reality, we have to work on it. हमें जो है इस चीज़ को रियल समझना पड़ेगा. The larger challenge for India's military would come if the hostilities break out along the northern borders with China. Okay, ये चीज़ आपको समझनी पड़ेगी. Pakistan would attempt to take advantage of India's military preoccupation by limited military action in J&K and attempt to raise the level of militancy in Kashmir. So it is unlikely that Pakistan would initiate a large-scale conflict to capture significant chunks of territory, as that would lead to full-blown war between three nuclear-armed states. Now Pakistan will not be interested in occupying the territory at the cost of their economy. Okay, because any chance of full-fledged war will damage the Pakistan economy, and Pakistan military realize that. Okay, there is no advantage of capturing the land, Indian land. Okay, so they will not start a full-fledged war. What they will do is they will continue their terrorist act. Okay, they will continue their terrorist act, and this is how they will damage India's chances. Now two front conflict present the Indian military with two dilemmas of resources and strategy. So if you are facing that particular challenge, then you have to divert your resources from your western border towards your northern border. western border से कुछ ना कुछ आपको हटा के आपके northern border पे डालना पड़ेगा, वो हमारे लिए थोड़ा problematic हो जाएगा. Okay, so this is again a problematic thing. ठीक है ना. So if a majority of asset of Indian Army and Indian Air Force are sent towards the northern border, it will require military to rethink its strategy for western border. Okay, this is what I told you. So कुछ ना कुछ अगर diversion होगा तो हमें जो है चीज़ों को और अच्छे से करना पड़ेगा. Okay, so second dilemma is that even though Pakistan may not be pursuing a hybrid war, should Indian military remain entirely defensive? Now the Pakistan, they are following the method of terrorism. Okay, so should we confine ourselves to Indian borders, or should we go there and do surgical strike? क्या surgical strike जैसी चीज़ हम दोबारा नहीं कर सकेंगे, and it might develop into full-fledged war. Okay, हम हमेशा defensive क्यों रह सकते हैं? So it may further encourage Pakistan to continue their action what they are doing in the form of terrorism. Okay, so adopting a most offensive strategy against Pakistan, यहाँ पे फिर आपको लिमिटेड रिसोर्सेज जो है अपने जो है थोड़े ट्रांसफर करेंगे. सो इट इज़ इम्पॉसिबल टू डिफाइन विद एनी सर्टेनिटी द काउंटर्स ऑफ टू फ्रंट कन्फ्लिक्ट. ओके, व्हाट एग्जैक्टली विल बी द नेचर ऑफ टू फ्रंट कन्फ्लिक्ट, व्हाट एग्जैक्टली विल बी द सिचुएशन ऑफ टू फ्रंट कन्फ्लिक्ट, चीज़ें बिल्कुल वैसी की वैसी रहेंगी. ओके, तो ये समस्या है. बट द थ्रेट कैन नॉट बी इग्नोर्ड. ओके, दैट्स वाई वी नीड टू प्रिपेयर, दैट वी नीड टू हैव अ डॉक्ट्रिन. ओके, वी नीड टू हैव अ पॉलिसी डॉक्यूमेंट so that we will have the capability to deal with the contingency anytime this situation can happen. Okay, this situation can develop. So any doctrine that is prepared without political aim and guidance will not stand the test when it is actually to be executed. Okay, so ये चीज़ आपको समझना पड़ेगा. पॉलिटिकल एम एंड गाइडेंस इज वेरी मच रिक्वायर्ड. यू नीड टू हैव द पॉलिटिकल सपोर्ट. ओके, इंडिया इज अ डेमोक्रेसी, ये हमें समझना है. कैपेबिलिटी बिल्डिंग हैज़ टू बी देयर, it has to be done. Okay, you have certain number of aircraft, ships, tanks, ये भी करना पड़ेगा. Other than that, you need to have the capabilities, modernized capabilities like robotics, artificial intelligence, cyber, electronic warfare. We have to prepare for these things also. So right balance will have to be struck based on the detailed assessment of China-Pakistan war fighting strategies. This is what we have to do. Okay, we need to have a detailed analysis of Chinese-Pakistan capabilities. So New Delhi would do well to improve relation with its neighbor. This is what we can do. We can have good relations with Islamabad also, so that Islamabad will not be under the pressure of Beijing to act against India. We can work on that. Okay, so currently we have to engage with all. सबके साथ एक दूसरे से बात करने की ज़रूरत है. We need to talk to Iran, ताकि छाबार जैसी चीज़ को हम ग्राउंड पे लेके आ सके. वी नीड टू एंश्योर दैट एनर्जी सिक्योरिटी इज एड्रेस्ड. ओके, वी नीड टू इम्प्रूव आवर मैरीटाइम कोऑपरेशन. These things are going to work, and neighborhood is very crucial for us. Okay, so we cannot undermine Moscow also. We need to have good relations with Russia also, because Russia is going to play a very critical role if there is a dispute between India and China. Okay, so Quad is also very important for us. We need to stay in touch with them also. Okay, so that we can diversify our support, and maritime strategy needs to be required to ease the Sino-Pakistan pressure. Okay, so we can do something in Indian Ocean. इन चीज़ों का हमें ध्यान रखना है. सो द स्टार्क मिलिट्री रियलिटी ऑफ टू फ्रंट चैलेंज, दिस इज रियल. ओके, एंड दिस इज गोइंग स्ट्रॉन्गर ओवर द ईयर्स, एंड दिस इज अ वेकअप कॉल फॉर आवर पॉलिटिकल लीडरशिप दैट वी शुड टेक दिस सीरियसली एंड वी शुड वर्क ऑन इट. सो ईजिंग प्रेशर ऑन वेस्टर्न फ्रंट रिक्वायर्स पॉलिटिकल विल. वी हैव टू ईज सम pressure on western front, means you have to improve your relation with Pakistan. Okay, and Kashmir issue needs to be dissolved on time, so that China is not in a position to put you in uncomfortable situation. Okay, so ये चीज़ है, इसके ऊपर हमें ध्यान रखना है. This could also lead to potential reapproachment with Pakistan. We have to approach with them. Okay, we have to talk to Pakistan army also. This is what we have to do. Okay, so if you want to be act as a superpower, a becoming superpower, you should think on those lines, and there should be political support along with the military capability which is required to counter the Pakistan-China nexus. Okay, so that's it. Let's move to next editorial now. So if the Farm Act are implemented in the right spirit, they will usher in the transformation of rural economy. Okay, so Farm Act की बात यहाँ पे कही है. So major objection and fears relating to the new Farmer Producer Trade Commerce Act, the Farmers Empowerment Agreement on Price Assurance and Farm Service Act, are that agricultural produce market will eventually be closed, the MSP will be stopped, corporate will take over the agriculture, trade, farmer, and everything will be lost. Okay, so this is the apprehension which farmers are raising. They are saying that these three acts, this is going to damage the agriculture. Okay, MSP will be lost, MSP चला जाएगा, corporates take over कर लेंगे agriculture को. There is a apprehension over these issues. Okay, but there are different sides. Some experts and farmer leaders feel that these apprehensions, fear are imaginary. This is the reality. That's why the protesters, they are not getting the support from pan India. Okay, only Haryana and Punjab protesters are protesting. So they are saying that these apprehension, these objectives are unrealistic. Okay, कुछ नहीं ऐसा होने वाला है, ये हमें समझना है. एंड इट रिक्वायर्स इंडिया टू मॉडर्नाइज एग्रीकल्चर. ओके, सो प्रेजेंटली ऑल द सिस्टम विच इज इन एग्जिस्टेंस, वो इंडिया की एग्रीकल्चर मॉडर्नाइजेशन के अंदर एक तरीके से हर्डल क्रिएट करता है और इंडिया को ग्लोबल पावर बनने से रोकता है एग्रीकल्चर के अंदर. ओके, सो those who are opposing these acts, they are basically focusing on threats and adverse effects. Okay, they are not focusing on the potential benefits of these acts. Definitely is इन acts के benefits भी होंगे. Every coin has two sides. So benefits की तरफ बात जानी चाहिए. Okay, they are ignoring them. इन चीज़ों को ignore किया जा रहा है. Another set of reputed experts such as Kaushik Basu have reiterated their support for changing archaic laws in agriculture, but oppose the new act. Okay, सो कौशिक बसु जैसे लोग, उन्होंने भी कुछ चीज़ें पॉइंट आउट की हैं. सो देर आर क्वाइट अ फ्यू मेजर रीजंस फॉर अंडरटेकिंग रिफॉर्म्स इन एग्रीकल्चर. द गैप बिटवीन द एग्री इनकम ऑफ फार्मर एंड दैट ऑफ नॉन एग्री वर्कर इंक्रीज्ड फ्रॉम 25,000 in 1993-94 to 1.14 lakh. सो नाउ दिस इज द रियलिटी. ओके, सो गैप जो है एवरेज इनकम का फ्रॉम एग्रीकल्चर एंड फ्रॉम नॉन एग्रीकल्चर वर्कर, दैट हैज़ इंक्रीज सब्सटेंशियली and there is a reason for agrarian distress. Okay, so aggregate food demand has fallen short of the domestic production, necessitating the export of large quantity to prevent the domestic prices from falling very low. So हमारे देश में अलग अलग चीज़ें होती हैं. Okay, किसान जो है वो उसकी प्राइस पे करता है. So 60 lakh ton of sugar and nearly 72 million ton of extra buffer stock of wheat and rice, which is causing a huge drain of fiscal resource. ये चीज़ हम ऑलरेडी स्टॉक करके रखते हैं. ओके, सो इंडियाज एग्री एक्सपोर्ट आर गेटिंग डिफिकल्ट टू पुश, imports are turning attractive as domestic prices are turning much higher than the international prices. ये उल्टा हो रहा है. दैट्स वाई वी आर इम्पोर्टिंग, हम इम्पोर्ट कर रहे हैं एक्सपोर्ट करने की बजाय. So rural youth, including farmers' children, are looking for jobs outside the agriculture. There is a serious problem of unemployment in the countryside. This is real. There are numerous instances of market failure to the determinant of producer and consumers. Okay, this is turning farming to look at government for remunerative prices through MSP for most agricultural product. Now market is not able to deliver sufficient remuneration to the farmer. That's why farmer is looking up to the government for MSP. Indian agriculture production and the market are not moving to next stage of development. We are not moving, we are slow in food processing. Okay, this is the next stage of development. प्रोसेसिंग हमारे देश में नहीं हो रही है. देर इज़ अ वेस्टेज ऑल्सो, ह्यूज वेस्टेज इज देयर. वी हैव टू वर्क ऑन दैट. यू नीड टू हैव वेयर हाउसेज वेयर यू कैन स्टोर द गुड्स. ओके, दैट्स वाई दीज लॉज आर रिक्वायर्ड. सो net revenue receipt of central government is below 9% of GDP. There are n number of subsidies that are already given to farmers. Situation फिर भी इतनी अच्छी नहीं होती. If farmers are to be ensured remunerative prices for their produce through procurement at MSP as per the demand put up by the protesting farmers, these costs and losses subsidies will take away most of the tax revenue of the central government. सो नाउ वट एवर द फार्मर्स आर डिमांडिंग, अगर वो चीज़ रखी जाती है तो हमारा जो है एक तरीके से टैक्स रेवेन्यू का मेजर शेयर इन चीज़ों पे चला जाता है. सो सच फैक्ट्स नीड टू बी शेयर्ड विद फार्मर्स लीडर दैट ऑलरेडी दे आर बीइंग सब्सिडाइज्ड बाय द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट. सब्सिडी उनको बहुत ज़्यादा मिलती है. आई डू नॉट थिंक दे विल आस्क फॉर समथिंग विच विल लीड टू कोलैप्स ऑफ होल फिस्कल सिस्टम ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट. पूरी की पूरी गवर्नमेंट का फिस्कल सिस्टम जो है एक तरीके से ध्वस्त हो जाएगा अगर फार्मर्स इन चीज़ों पे अड़े रहते हैं. तो ensuring remunerative prices to farmers is through increased competition for sale of their produce. डेवलपमेंट ऑफ मॉडर्न वैल्यू चेन ये करना चाहिए, वैल्यू एडिशन करना चाहिए, एक्सपोर्ट प्रमोशन करना चाहिए, रूरल इकोनॉमिक रिवाइटलाइजेशन के ऊपर काम करना चाहिए. दीज शुड बी आर फोकस्ड एरियाज. ओके, फोकस एरियाज ये होने चाहिए, ठीक है ना. So there is need to understand that APMC has nothing to do with payment of MSP. Okay, crops other than paddy, wheat, cotton are selling at price below MSP in APMC mandis. This is the reality. Still APMC mandis are being focused. Okay, पंजाब में ही ऐसा होता है कि APMC मंडी से जितना MSP होता है उससे कम दाम पे जो है फसलें बिक रही होती हैं. The necessary and the sufficient condition for MSP are procurement by government with or without APMC. ये सिचुएशन है और वो APMC के बिना भी गवर्नमेंट प्रोक्योर कर सकती है. Even after fruits and vegetables were denotified from APMC, they continue to arrive at APMC mandi in large quantity and farmers get additional options also. ये additional benefit है. Okay, so parallel mandis will come up and farmers can sell their produce there also. Okay, and government can procure the produce from farmers at MSP from those private mandis also. So the threat to APMC comes from action of state to use these mandis for extra revenue generation. ये चीज़ आ रही है. The protesting farmer leaders raised a genuine concern to keep the level playing field for the APMC. Okay, and private player. So this is what farmers are demanding. They are saying there should be a level playing field. Now APMC, it has some fees. Some fees is charged, but the new private mandi will not be charging any fees. Okay, so over the time the attraction of APMC will be less. That's why farmers are protesting. So there are some criteria. Like another provision of new trading act under the act is simple requirement of PAN card for the trader. Okay, simple requirement है PAN card के लिए trader के लिए, means he do not need to have extra permission. ऐसे कुछ भी करने की जरूरत नहीं है. Now these APMC they have the cartel. Okay, वो कार्टेल मेंटेन करके हैं पूरे के पूरा. ओवर द फैमिली का एक तरीके से वहाँ पे मोनोपोली हो जाती है. सो प्रोटेस्टिंग फार्मर फेवर द स्ट्रिंजेंट क्राइटेरिया एंड रजिस्ट्रेशन फॉर ट्रेडर्स इन ट्रेड एरिया. ओके, दिस इज व्हाट दे आर डिमांडिंग. दे आर डिमांडिंग दैट ट्रेडर रजिस्ट्रेशन शुड बी वेरी स्ट्रिंजेंट. ओके, तो एग्जिस्टिंग जो है उन्हीं को ही यहाँ पे फायदा होता है. A farmer can go for trading, his son can do agri-business and other rural youth can undertake the purchase of farm commodities. ये मेजर बेनिफिट होने वाला है. इससे जो है रूरल इकोनॉमी और रूरल इनकम बढ़ेगा. ओके, सो कोई भी जाके अपना बिजनेस जो है वो स्टार्ट कर सकता है प्रोक्योरमेंट का. If a stringent criteria such as bank guarantee are included in the registration of traders, then agriculture trade will require in the hand of trading class only. एग्रीकल्चर का ट्रेड पूरा का पूरा ट्रेडिंग क्लास के अंडर ही रह जाएगा. ओके, द स्पिरिट ऑफ न्यू लॉ टू फैसिलिटेट फार्मर्स एंड रूरल यूथ टू बिकम एग्री बिजनेस एंटरप्रेन्योर विल बी लॉस्ट. तो हम ये चाहते हैं कि फार्मर्स के बच्चे जो हैं वो एग्री बिजनेसमैन बने. ओके, वो नहीं बन पाएंगे. जो अड़ती ऑलरेडी बैठे हैं मिडल मैन है, देयर फैमिलीज विल ओनली प्रोग्रेस. ओके, सो द कॉन्ट्रैक्ट फार्मिंग which is already going on in various pockets in India show the critics and the protesting farmers are mixing contract farming with corporate farming. Both are different thing. Okay, so the new act intends to insulate interested farmers against market and price risk so they can go for cultivation of high value crops without worrying about the market, low prices in the harvest season. They can go for high value crops. ये चीज जो है एक तरीके से फैसिलिटेट होगी यहाँ पे. ओके, इफ देर इज अ लॉन्ग टर्म कॉन्ट्रैक्ट. सो कॉर्पोरेट फार्मिंग एंड कॉन्ट्रैक्ट फार्मिंग आर टू डिफरेंट थिंग. द एक्ट इज वॉलंटरली. ओके, एंड आइदर पार्टी इज फ्री टू लीव इट आफ्टर द एक्सपायरी ऑफ एग्रीमेंट. So even there is under contract, there is one contract and it's a voluntary thing whether you want to join it or not. Okay, ये चीज आपको समझनी है और वो चीज इन्होंने हाईलाइट की है. The act will promote diversification, quality production from premium rice, premium for premium price, export and direct sale of produce. This will be benefited. Okay, आप export कर लोगे आपको अच्छा दाम मिलेगा and consumers it will benefit them also. It will also bring new capital and knowledge into the agriculture and pave the way for farmers' participation in value chain, which is majorly important. Now, if the market is free, then private players with their expertise and their knowledge, they will have some investment in agriculture. So the policy reform undertaken by the central government through these acts are in keeping with changing time and requirements of farmers and farming. Okay, this is what they are pointing out, that these acts are completely correct and these are in line with changing times और farmers की requirement के according ऐसा चल रहा है. If they are implemented in right spirit, they will take Indian agriculture to new heights. ऐसा ये बोल रहे हैं. Okay, you never know, कुछ भी हो सकता है. Okay, so Let's move ahead to our next editorial. So granting the bail is the rule. Okay, refusal to grant the bail deprives individual of liberty by confining them in jail without trial and conviction. ये चीज ऐसी सामने आती है. Okay, कि if you are not granting them bail, it means that you are damaging their rights, you are depriving them of some rights. Okay, discussions on bail reform usually arise when exceptional cases capture public attention. So bail reform must begin by addressing two key facets of criminal justice system: justice discretion and monetary surety bonds. Okay, so bail is justice discretion, there is judicial discretion over bail. Okay, depends upon the judge whether to grant bail or not. Other thing is that monetary surety bonds. Now problem is that there are majority of people who are behind the bars are under trials. Okay, under trials. Now they don't have money, पैसा नहीं है उनके पास, they can't pay the bail bond, वो bail bond नहीं भर सकते. Okay, just because they don't have the money to pay for the bail bond, they are behind the bars. This is the reality. इसीलिए वो जो है हवालात के पीछे हैं. So judicial discretion, the discretionary power vested in judges, and it is meant to be exercised liberally. The Supreme Court has consistently reiterated that the bail is the rule, jail is the exception. But this is the reality that bail bond are very expensive. Okay, Akhil Pratap Singh, good afternoon. So the accused person's compliance with investigation and subsequent presence at the trial if they are released after arrest. ये चीज ऐसी चलती है. So the power to grant bail is exercised sparingly. Subordinate courts even routinely reject the bail for specific offences like minor excise offences. Okay, उनके लिए भी एक तरीके से bail वो जो है reject कर देते हैं. It is pertinent to note that a majority of those policed under the excise law belong to the marginalized community. Okay, so marginalized community, they have less literacy, their education level is less. Okay, they are deprived, they are malnourished. वो मेजरली लोग जो है इस चीज में फंस जाते हैं. सो विदाउट द ग्रांट ऑफ बेल बाय द लोअर कोर्ट, द एक्यूज्ड पर्सन आर रिक्वायर्ड टू अप्रोच द हाई कोर्ट और सुप्रीम कोर्ट, एंड जस्टिस इज वेरी एक्सपेंसिव. ओके, सो वकील वहाँ पे बहुत ही महंगा करते हैं, आपको महंगा मिलेगा हाई कोर्ट और सुप्रीम कोर्ट में. दिस इज द रियलिटी. सो दिस इज हाउ द पर्सन, दे विल ऑलवेज रिमेन अंडर ट्रायल. So 2/3 of India's prison population comprise under trials from Dalit, Adivasi and OBC community. Okay, this is the reality. And ये चीज ऐसी चलती है. माइनर ऑफेंसेस के लिए भी लोग जो हैं जेल के अंदर हैं. द पेंडेंसी ऑफ बेल एप्लीकेशन हैज पर्टिकुलरली इंक्रीज्ड ड्यूरिंग द पेंडेंसी, बोथ ड्यू टू शटिंग डाउन ऑफ कोर्ट. ओके, वो भी हो गया था. दूसरा, exaggeration of arrest for minor offences by the police. Now people are put behind the bar for even for minor offences also. So despite the Supreme Court's order to decongest the prison, arrest of minor offence continue unbattedly. According to a study, Pandemic Policing in Madhya Pradesh by Criminal Justice and Police Accountability Project. Now this CPA project was there in Madhya Pradesh. They analyzed that arrest for minor offences increased during the lockdown time. Okay, so the system of bail typically requires surety to furnish a bond for some property valued at amount determined by the concerned judge. Okay, so the bail amount in subordinate court even for petty offence, okay, kitna hai, minimum is 10,000 rupees. Now they can't afford this 10,000 rupees. This is the reality. Okay, so it can exceed to 30,000 in High Court or in Supreme Court. If you want bail from High Court or Supreme Court, आपका amount बढ़ जाता है. So a report by Azim Premji University highlights that even among regular wage workers, 57% Indians earn less than 10,000 per month. Now this is the reality. 57% of the Indians, they earn less than the 10% per month. That's why affordability of bond is not possible. So official data from socioeconomic caste census, okay, they said that 57% of people in rural India are landless. Okay, and the cases are more in case of Dalit and Adivasis. So those without assets, even when granted bail, end up languishing in jail because उनके पास कुछ होता ही नहीं है करने को. Okay, so इतना कुछ होने के बाद भी वो अपनी फ्रीडम को चेरिश नहीं कर पाते हैं. So a bogey of middlemen has also emerged due to these high bail amounts. This economy of exploitation received sent attention in discussion of reform. ओके, सो मिडलमैन भी आ गए हैं यहाँ पे. आप मूवी देखी होगी आपने, बहुत सारे मिडलमैन आपको मिल जाते हैं. सो द ग्रांट ऑफ बेल ऑन अ पर्सनल बॉन्ड विदाउट श्योरिटीज, that is release of one's own guarantee without any monetary amount, although permissible in law, is rare. विदाउट बॉन्ड किसी को भी नहीं छोड़ा जाता किसी के पर्सनल गारंटी के ऊपर, ये रियलिटी है. तो इन 1978 सुप्रीम कोर्ट केस ऑफ मोतीराम वर्सेस स्टेट ऑफ मध्य प्रदेश, जस्टिस वी.आर. कृष्णा अय्यर आइडेंटिफाइड द इशू ऑफ अनरीजनेबली हाई श्योरिटीज एज अ ह्यूमन राइट प्रॉब्लम. ये चल रहा था. द कोर्ट देन सजेस्टेड दैट surety amount be determined by the considering relevant variable such as socio-economic location of the accused person. Now these things should be considered while granting bail or while not granting bail. The Gwalior bench of MP High Court deemed it fit to impose peculiar condition while granting bail to certain applicants. So conditions को समझना ज़रूरी है. Okay? सो ये चीज़ समझनी है. फैमिली बैकिंग कैसी है, सोशियो इकोनॉमिक कंडीशन कैसी है किसी भी जेल इनमेट्स की, ये चीज़ समझना ज़रूरी है. सो अखिल प्रताप सिंह इज आस्किंग दैट सर कोर्ट्स आर गेटिंग सो मच रेवेन्यू एज बेल, देन ओनली देयर जस्टिस इज डिले. ओके, नो, कोर्ट्स आर नॉट गेटिंग एनी रेवेन्यू फ्रॉम द बेल. So this is the bail bond. Okay, this is not the source of revenue. This is a bail bond. ये अश्योरिटी नहीं होती है कि आप 10,000 रुपये दे के आप जो है पक्का फ्री होके घूम जाओगे. ओके, सो इफ यू आर डिक्लेयर्ड फ्री, इफ यू आर all the charges are dropped, okay, if all the charges are dropped, then the bail amount will be given back to the person. वो पैसे वापस दे दिए जाते हैं. These are not the source of revenue for the court. This you have to understand. ये कोर्ट के लिए कोई सोर्स नहीं है रेवेन्यू का. सो बेल indiscretions by judges of lower court and high courts have passed by with little accountability and oversight by the apex court. This is the complete problem that things are not documented. Okay, ऑब्जेक्टिविटी नहीं है इसके अंदर. अपने मूड के अकॉर्डिंग किसी को भी बेल मिल जाती है, ये प्रॉब्लम चलती है. So even not ridiculous, bail conditions can transgress personal liberty and often paternalistic. Okay, courts introspect little about standards of liberty, reasonableness, proportionality when deciding bail matters. A report by Center for Law and Policy Research recommends the creation of checklist to address individual discretion while deciding bail applications. The reflection of our society inherent caste class bias in judicial decision is likely to persist even with checklist. The legacy of Motiram has been honored more in breach than in spirit. This is the reality and we have to work on this. Okay, so ये reform का part है.